Hello, my chess friends. This is Jeremy with Chess Cruncher. This is another one of my games from the United States Open Chess Champion 2012, Vancouver, Washington. My opponent's name is Bear, and he's playing as white, and I was playing as black. And so let us begin and let's start right now. He goes d4, I go d5, c4. He goes knight f6. It's the queen's gambit defense. It's a really good opening. So I go bishop g5. Actually, he goes bishop g5, sorry. And he's attacking my knight. So if I go e6 with my pawn, it'll put my knight into a pin against my queen. So I do that because I have to open up my lines for my light dark squared bishop, and I can also push my bishop to e7 and stop the pin, and then I can move my knight anywhere and trade. He goes c2, queen to c2. I go, like I said, bishop e7. He goes e3. He's opening up his position so his white light squared bishop would come out. I go h4. He goes h6, sorry, and he goes bishop to h4. And the reason he did that is he wants to keep the pin, but sometimes, actually that is the best move. Otherwise I could push my pawn to g5 and push him back all the way and then bring my knight to h5 and snap off his bishop. Okay. Then I play d takes c4, and then he plays bishop takes c4. You're thinking, why did you do that? Well, now, yes, he has two central pawns, but I don't have to worry about him taking my pawn anymore, and I can also castle if I wanted to, and everything's open for me. I go knight c6, developing. He goes knight to e2. I go d4. I want to trade off, and I want to trade off my bishop for his dark squared and my dark squared, so I could play queen takes, and then I won't have any more issues with the dark square bishop along the d to h3 diagonal. So that's what he does. He plays bishop takes e7. I play queen takes e7. He castles. I go knight b6, so that I'm now attacking his bishop. He goes d2, knight to d2. I go knight takes c4. Now all of his bishops are gone, and I have a light squared bishop, so I can start dominating on the light squared. Once the position opens into an endgame, when it does, I can attack on both sides, and one of his knights will just attack on a single side. That's the nice thing about a bishop in the endgame. A bishop in the endgame, if it's an open position, dominates everything because it can attack on the king and the queen side, and with just one move. But knights have to make multitude of moves to get to a position where they want. He plays knight takes. I play b4. Now I'm attacking his queen. Do you see that? Yeah. He goes c3. I go knight d5. I'm attacking his queen again. But if you notice, I now have a centralized knight, and it's very, very powerful. He goes queen to a3. I go pawn b6. He goes e4. I go knight to f6, attacking his e4 pawn. He swings his queen over to g3. He wants to take my g7 pawn. I go h5. Don't think so. He goes queen to f3. I go knight f6 back again. He goes e5. I go knight d5. Now there's no way he can push my knight out with pawns. He'll have to trade off a knight, and then if we go to the end game, when we do, I will have domination in an open position. Here goes rook A to C1. I go bishop B7, defending, and also I can move my knight, and I then, if I want to, but right now my bishop, if I did, would be taken by his queen, so I would have to put some sort of some security to keep the bishop there. He goes F4, knight to F4. I go castle. Now I'm castling, and now I can push my F pawn if I want to F6, and then I can play queen, or I can take with the knight. But that's possible. So this is what I do. He goes knight H5, attacking the pawn. He's thinking to himself, if I'm foolish enough not to see that, he can move his queen to G4 or G3 and checkmate me. I go, don't think so. G5, attacking his knight, and also attacking the G2 pawn. If I can bring some support in, I can checkmate there. He goes E2. I go knight E7. I want to bring my knight into F5 so that I can get some central control. And then I can move anytime I want. I can swing it from F5 to H4, and remember his weak spot is his G2 pawn, and that would be threatened. He goes E3. He has to protect the G pawn. The G pawn. I go F5. The reason I do that is, remember what we're saying, I'm going over to the H4 pawn, H to H4 with my knight, and threaten checkmate. And there's a lot of different moves I can play. And also I wanted to add, I'm sorry, I have to look. If you notice, the light squared bishop on B7 is also attacking the G2 pawn. So if he makes any move rather than to protect the pawn, it would be over. So let's see what he does. He goes knight takes F7. That was a triple question mark. It ended the game fast. It ended the game. I will step back and allow you, my chess friends, to see the move that checkmated and won the game for me. I'll step back for 5 seconds. Correct. I'm glad you're really smart. You saw it. Queen takes G2, checkmate, and that's what ended the game and started me on a roll of winning game after game after game. So this was a very important win that I needed. And I wanted to share the important game with you, my chess fans. And I will say, God bless, and I'll see you next time.